Yankees.
Is that the great Bambino?
It is. It's Babe Ruth's hat.
Wow.
Yeah.
You look like you have aged very well, Babe.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Swing, 3 hot dogs, and I'm ready to go, and a beer.
If only you had the talent that the Babe had.
He had some talent.
He got out of single A. You didn't get out of college ball.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, but college ball was fun.
You know, we're all told at some point that we can no longer play the kids'
right.
game.
I believe you. You're right.
Some are told at 18, some are told at 40, but we're all told.
College ball was fun. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
Hmm.
That's the part I hated the most about graduating college was I was going to stop playing ball.
You should have failed more classes and you could have stayed longer.
I got out in 4 years, too.
That's pretty good.
For me. It's good for me.
What did you do with your degree?
This is it right here.
I know. It's not much you can do back then with a liberal arts degree.
Bowling degree. Liberal arts. Yeah, that was it. I majored in shop. I built birdhouses.
Oh yeah, I played for the California Penal League. How'd you get in there? Stole a car
across 3 states. You're going to California this week.
I am.
You're going to be there. You're going to go to the World Series. You're going to the World Series.
I'm going to the World Series. Game 1.
Wow, you think it'll be sold out?
Well, of course, it's sold out, but you can get tickets on StubHub. It's all good. If anybody wants to, well, I mean, technically, they're new age scalpers, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
What's the difference between selling it on StubHub and just standing on the street corner right by the stadium and selling it? I don't understand the difference.
Well, you have to have a website.
Oh, you gotta be sponsored by Major League Baseball. They got to get their cut. That's why.
That's exactly right.
They're not getting their cut from the guy on the street corner.
From the guy in the street. Yeah, and it's. I wonder if it's cheaper to scalp a ticket or to buy it on StubHub.
I don't know. I mean, the legitimacy of the scalp ticket would be in question for me. 100%.
That's exactly right. Yeah, barcode.
Yeah.
You bought this and you got like a T-shirt at Target.
Apparently, if anybody wants to donate to my World Series ticket fund, because
don't do that. Not on this show. We don't do that.
What?
We don't grovel.
No, just send me your non-tax deductible donation.
Yeah. Now you sound like some other website that charged them to answer questions.
At P.O. Box.
Yeah, P.O. Box, Nick. So we had a good show today.
Yeah, we have an action-packed, just informational show. I hope everybody is prepared for their brains to get a little bit bigger today. That's right. And if your brain explodes, we're not responsible. Yes, we need to put that down at the bottom. That's we are not responsible for your headpiece exploding because all the facts and all the information we're about to throw at you. You know, if you're anything like me, whenever you learn something new, you forget about something old. So it's only a matter of time before I forget my last name or middle name or date of birth. Something critical that I must know that something comes in. Yeah, I guess because the stuff you have in there, a lot of it's useless. Like some of the movies you watch and quote from. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I know you're not. You're trying to dig, but no, I'm not digging. I'm facting. You're facting. Is that a new term? It's a new term. I invented that. Nice. Facting. You're just facting. You know, like what was the dumbass hamburger movie you watch? What are you talking about? I don't know. You quote something from some movie with the about Good two guys that Good what Burger? Was it? Good Burger? Is that what it was? I don't even heard of these movies. Nick's got the quotes, whipping them out. Blibbity, 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 blibbity. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you got no room in there. Grape Nose Boy. He's like, hey, give me a burger with nothing on it, and he hands him a bun. And he's like, wait, you said you wanted nothing on it, man. And this is my point right there. It's a cult classic. You know, I don't have any news for today because of everything that's going on with us today on the show. I want to save more time for Steve. What are you trying to say? Steve's long-winded? No. He's got a lot of information to share. He's going to pick up on cores where we left off a little bit. He's got some new stuff to talk about. You know, a lot of good stuff. And you know, he's really
tentative when it comes to the questions people ask too. So put some questions in there.
He does like to give it full thought. I know that for a fact.
He's really good at it.
I know.
Unlike me, just gloss over something because I didn't feel like talking about it. I'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you can see the old IBM wheels turning from like the old 50s IBM machines, click, and then all the reels align. Then he comes up with his answer. It's great.
That's exactly right.
But before we get to Steve, we have to post the Woo Box link.
Oh, the Woo Box is great. And by the way, we did a practice spin earlier.
Yes, we did. And what did it come up on?
3-ball Arsenal. So I was sort of thankful because I'm like those other wacko people that stand by a roulette wheel and write down the numbers that came out because, they can't come out again. Like the ball knows what slot it's going in when it spins.
Every spin is independent of one another.
Right. Look, it's 17 blacks in a row. This can't be black.
Well, that's why they put it up on the screen.
I know. So people
can bet it. They don't have to write it down anymore.
That's right. People used to write it down. So I'm sitting there going, oh, good. It won't come out again. Watch me. So anyhow, the Woo Box goes up. You put your name in the Woo Box. If you're a staffer, don't do it. And then at the end of the show, about 3 o'clock, I think the show is going to be later today than normal. But at around 3 o'clock, the box will shut down. No more woos go in it. And
no more woos in the box.
And then Nick will randomly, arbitrarily, allegedly pick a name from out of his many incognitos, and he will spin the wheel. If you don't like the prize and you're in the show, you tell us, and we'll let you spin again. You could pick you could win 3-ball Arsenal and go, nah, I have enough bowling balls. I'm spin again. You might get the beloved grip sack.
I think that would be awesome if someone got a 3-ball Arsenal
and turned it down.
Like, nah, I don't deserve that.
Yeah, and if you spin and get a grip sack, we'll let you spin again. If you spin again in your grip sack, we'll give you one more spin. But let's do a practice spin right now.
What do you
and keep both hands above the wheel.
Don't tell me what to do.
Slimy dog, you.
I'm going chamois.
I am going shirt, T-shirt. Look at that. Except the fake hands up. There it is, T-shirt.
Hey.
Folks, I would start getting a little concerned about this because he picked 3-ball Arsenal before doing the practice spin.
I always pick 3-ball Arsenal because I want people to make you go broke.
Make me go broke.
Yeah. Although it's probably having a direct impact on the Christmas gift you get me this year, isn't it?
It's a direct correlation between the amount of stuff we give away and the value of your Christmas gift.
Yeah, that's fine. So far, right now, at this point, we're all getting hugs.
No, right now you're getting a sleeve of golf balls.
Nice. Real nice.
Well, 3-ball Arsenal, 3 golf balls.
Yeah, before we get into the nitty gritty, we have some other business to take care of, and we need to settle a bet. We need to make a bet, actually.
Well, you want to make a bet, I know. And here's Nick's interpretation of making a bet. Mm-hmm. If I win, we're going to Olive Garden.
Mm-hmm.
What was the bet?
It's the same bet as last time when we bet against the Yankees and Dodgers series.
Okay.
We bet dinner. That was the bet.
So we're going to bet dinner on the World Series.
On the World Series.
But the Dodgers are $1.30 favorite.
So
I should get like an extra dessert.
What were the Yankees?
They were dog.
During at home? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get out.
Know that? Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah.
Well, it's not my fault. Your team sucks.
All right. So we'll bet dinner. But there's certain places we can't go.
We're going to Olive Garden. That's already settled. We're going to go and we're going to live stream it for a podcast episode.
I don't have to approve. I don't have to agree to that.
We're going to mic you up. I got separate mics. We're going to put up the phone. We're going to have our little booth in the corner like last time.
Can you beep out stuff like as I'm talking?
What would I beep out? Man, this is the best lasagna I've ever had in my life. Oh man, I wish my own Italian family could make Zapoli like this.
Zapola. Not Zapoli. Say it.
Zapola. Tomato, who cares?
No, and gabagool. Not gabagool.
Gabagool.
All right, so that's the bet.
Did you put out your gabagool for Halloween already?
Sliced now. I'm getting it sliced
for all the kids. One gabagool for
kids.
You
have to roll it with provolone. You put it in the pumpkin. Yeah, we're gonna do we'll do dinner on this series.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we ready to bring Steve in? I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we got Steve sitting out there doing nothing. Get in here. There he is.
Steve.
Doing nothing.
Doing nothing. He probably he invented 2 new bowling balls while he was sitting there waiting for us to get him on the show.
Is that right? You designed a new core already while you're waiting there?
Man, got a few in the works.
I know he does. Cool. Well, I'm going to get out of the way.
In the works too, by the way. I'm excited about a couple of them coming up. They're going to be.
Yeah, we did one yesterday, and I sent Steve a video. And yesterday was fun. We went up and did a ball test, and we had a couple of balls to drill for the guys. So the 2 guys take the balls, and I'm still in the pro shop talking to Jeff, and I come out and neither guy's throwing a ball. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "We're done." So you're done. I have to see the balls go down the lane. Yeah, you'll be done when I tell you you're done, like one of those.
Wow. And
he goes, "No, we're done." He says, "We know we're going to throw each ball 1 or 2 times, and you'll pick the ball we picked." Now, I've heard that way before many times because these guys are just, they're good at ideas, but, you pick a ball you like, not necessarily what we could sell. Anyhow, they both throw the first shot, and the ball looked really good, really good. Then they both throw the second ball, and I go, "All right, we're done."
All right, you were right.
You were right. It wasn't even close. The ball we picked is just sideways.
Hey-o. Getting back into some back-end reaction stuff.
We're back in the back. So anyway.
Nice. So what do
Steve?
Yeah, what do we got? We got an overview today. What are we talking about today, Steve?
A little bit of super symmetrical. I watched the podcast last week twice, so I thought I would give my version of some of the history behind. And those videos you sent me yesterday, I knew which one. That first, those 3, you sent me 3 videos of one, and it just, man, I didn't expect that ball to hook that much. And what's great to me is it's, and I can't say too much, but it's an extension of Radical is all about learning from what we've made and then improving upon it. And this is an extension of a core that, and I'm not going to say which one, but I didn't think I would see that motion out of that ball. But
right, yeah, it was. I'm going to show the video.
It was impressive.
Don't show the video. What are you doing? What are you going to do? Hold it up to your screen?
That's what I'm going to do.
You're like half an inch big on most people's phones right now. Oh my gosh! Don't show the. We'll show the video.
No, I'm not going to show it. I'm looking at it.
That's all. Yeah. I'm like, we'll do it. We'll put it in black and white. We'll put it full screen. You got to send me the video though. So we'll
okay. Now you got to get involved, huh?
Well, yeah. If I want the show to run smoothly and actually be entertaining, instead of you just being like, "Hurr."
People like that. They think it's personable. Yeah.
Impromptu
touch. That's right. Impromptu. Thank you, Steve.
Meanwhile, Steve just said he watched the podcast twice last week and made notes on how to make it more authentic and actually factual this week.
Well, you know how I'm long-winded and I sound like Forrest Gump. So
hey, I didn't say that. I asked Phil if he said that you were long-winded. I asked the question. I didn't say that.
Oh my God! Just for that, never mind. It's going to come down. The wrath of God will come down on the Dodgers.
No, they won't. Your top 5 is already going to handle that for you plenty, buddy.
Oh yeah,
I have a good top 5 today. That's like the profar of top 5s. Let me tell you that.
It is. All right, let's stop interrupting Steve.
All right, we're gonna get into this. Is that what we want to do? Let's get into this.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah, you have a little bit of super symmetrical talk, which is an exciting area, by the way. It's been in the. I feel like it's been in the process of building up, and now we're just getting to the point where it's going to be bigger and bigger. And with the core evolution, I've got some of my own pictures, and I feel like I'm going to give more information during this podcast than I normally do. And I feel like that's okay because I'm not going to talk about the newest cores that are coming out.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep. Yeah, because I'm working in what 2025, 2026.
Yeah, exactly.
So the information I'm going to give is going to. to educate, but it's all going to be okay. And then I'll try to throw in a little bit about what makes the 015 045 diff ratio special to me, and that topic will kind of be talked about as we go through this whole PowerPoint here, through this whole slideshow. So
okay.
So I figured we just start with, symmetric cores, perfectly symmetrical cores. It's funny because I always name a core. When I name the Intel core in my files, it's called bonus, and then payback is called bonus 2, and then the bonus ball is called bonus 3. So we didn't even use the bonus name until the third iteration of that core. And then the pandemonium, I don't remember what I called that, but
right.
I just wanted to point out that no, it wasn't the bonus. It was
the bonus prequel.
It was Spindle. It was Spindle
right.
2.
Spindle core, right?
Yeah, it was Spindle 2, and I think the Spindle 3 was never made. The Spindle 4 was made but never produced. But we learned a lot from Spindle 4, which led into Bigfoot.
Yeah, one of them was the Cyclops, one of the spindles.
That was the spindle. That was the first spindle.
Yeah.
So I just have some, these symmetrical cores. Any vertical plane is going to cut these cores into 2 equal halves. So a lot of people, when they think about symmetrical cores, this is the idea that they have. And but really, a symmetrical core comes down to the intermediate diff. Intermediate diffs normally start off right at 0. So I have the Intel payback, the bonus. You can see their undrilled total diff values there. Pandemonium was the highest total diff. And then below that, I have the drilled diffs for the 70 by 3.5 by 20. Mm-hmm. And reason why I really wanted to show this is because the increase in total diff is limited. It's only going to increase for a radially symmetric ball like this. It's only going to increase the total diffs by about 0.008. The intermediates go up a little bit. Some of them a little bit more than others. I had to actually check the Intel numbers because I didn't believe it. But I went back and just verified those numbers are accurate. But
is that with or without an extra hole? Because Intel was
without an extra hole.
Right. That's why I love that ball so much. I never thought why I loved it more than all of the other ones that have an 035 or whatever diff. But that one, it was just the total diff never blew up, but the intermediate diff did.
Yeah. That's a good point to make too, because these cores were built and designed in the balance hole era. So
yeah, exactly.
And as a side note, back then I absolutely hated working on symmetrical cores for a couple reasons. First of all, because
Mo influence right there.
Well, it's a huge Mo influence, and when you put the balance hole in a symmetrical ball, your PSA moves so much that I would have to go find it in order to do my analysis.
Right.
So I hated when he wanted to work on it. And luckily for me, it was rare that he wanted to, but we had to work on symmetrical.
Yeah. You had to be on my side of that conversation. Well, I need a symmetrical car. Symmetrical car. No, they're no good. Bring your spare ball. Yeah, exactly. Mo, I need symmetrical.
Yeah,
I'll build you an asymmetrical that's better. I just need a symmetrical.
Spindle core. You got to spindle a little more and get an asim.
Yeah, spindle more. Yeah. So let me just touch on that real quick. So what Steve is talking about with the code name for the cores is what R&D uses at Steve. And on the marketing side, we name a ball. Now I got to figure out what the name of the ball is for that core name. And after about getting into it, like 18 months into the next ball, I don't remember what the core was called. So now I'm calling R&D up and saying, hey, when we built that payback, what core was that? Oh, that was the bonus core. No, that was the bonus ball. Then I confused the issue by naming a ball the bonus. So
then you just settle it on just naming it right after what the ball is called.
Maybe.
real original.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Next slide.
But before I move on, I just want everyone to be able to notice the heights of the cores. Because if you look at payback and bonus, the bonus is just a little wider. It's a little bit more volume. But because I pushed the mass out towards the PSA and the intermediate, it actually brings the total diffs down. The taller the core and less width, you get larger total diffs. And if I want to cut the diffs, I mean, there's a couple ways to cut the diffs. I can always cut the height, but I could also make the middle of the ball, the equator area of the ball, larger. And that's an important thing to consider as we go through this slideshow. That's a lot of information. You notice the intel is very short compared to the payback, and it's not very short, but it's shorter than the payback and bonus. And the band is out. When we design a core since 2008, we have the 3-step process. Basically, we design a core to match the undrilled numbers that we want. So someone will tell me they want an 030 ball, and then we would always drill it and test the drilled numbers. And then after that, I would do my analysis and run it through my program to see how that ball, how does the shape of the core of, how is the mass of the core affected as it's rolling down the lane? And so sometimes that 3-step process, the first 2 would be perfect, and then the third one would be like, no, we got to make a change. So when I made the bonus core and the Guru, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, I remember moving that core up 0.02 inches, like just a scotch. And then we would do it again and do it again. And we were constantly trying to revise the 3rd-step process of how that ball is going to roll.
Yeah, so, people think sometimes we just throw stuff together. It's not that quite easy, right? I mean,
no, not at all.
No, I mean, we look to, first of all, we build a foundation for the next ball. You know, I mean, and once we learn it, we keep that information and call on it down the road.
Yeah, absolutely, all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. When I just finished the latest core, well, all of them really, but like we're using all this information.
Right.
So, okay, so these are symmetrical cores, and then we started messing around with like Bigfoot. Actually, the pandemonium was called Spindle Core. I made Spindle 2, wasn't very good. We made Spindle 3, and we actually, I think we tested that ball. I think Brunswick has it, tested it.
Yeah.
And we kind of like put it to the side because there was other things happening and going on.
Right.
We missed a window kind of. And then I created Spindle 4. We tested it, and that kind of led into the next slide.
Right.
And before we get to the next slide, I'm going to post the WooBox link one more time before we.
And everybody knows what to do. They all know what to do with it.
So good luck.
Put your name in there and good luck.
And so now, when you get to the, that was funny before the show when you spun that WooBox, or you spun the wheel and it landed on 3-ball Arsenal. That was great.
Not for me.
And then you spun it again and landed on a new ball. So it's like
you would think like just by the numbers, like it wouldn't land that often, but it goes up quite a bit often.
Yeah, because you got the wheels rigged. That's why.
Yeah, to benefit our fans. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, I can't understand how it always comes up on it. It's rigged. That's how I'll help you. You're crooked.
You said rig it, so I figured you wanted people to get the best prizes.
No, I meant the other way.
Oh.
All right, sorry to get us sidetracked.
Yeah.
So on all the following slides, I have the top view on the right, and on the picture on the left, the ball on the left, the PSA will always be towards the right. So you're looking at the intermediate axis. Okay. Now, for the Bigfoot, this core is only symmetric if you cut it with a vertical plane along 2 planes through the noses, through the knobs, or whatever we want to call it. But you can see on this drill, what was that? The undrilled diff was 053, but then this ball with the 75, same layout, no balance hole. I'll never deal with balance holes again. I wish I were, but kind of.
No.
They're really not needed, but they were nice, like you said last podcast, for symmetrical balls.
Yes.
But 019, 064. So now you see that the total diff went up to 11. So it went up a little bit more. And that has everything to do with that nose that's on the that's on the PSA side of the ball. Now, the intermediate diff jumped up even more than the Intel, which was 017, I believe.
Right.
But what we're able to do, and this is what I have studied for so long, is how does the mass of that core, how is the mass in the core distributed to maximize ball motion, to affect ball motion? So what I'm able to do with symmetrical cores, and this is what's exciting about all the super symmetricals, and I think what we have, like, I think we have 2 more in the pipeline, right? Like
we do.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm thinking right?
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Okay. There's been a lot going on. I've been doing no thumb stuff here lately. I'm all excited about that now, where I was trying to avoid it for a long time. But what the core that we just made was like, what did I get to? 022, 023 intermediate diff. It was something like, it was in the low 020, which I hadn't achieved yet.
Right.
So it's all about how can we maximize and man, I really want to say a couple things.
Be careful.
I know the symmetrical balls, as they travel down the lane, they don't, the mass, this is not, when the mass distribution of a symmetrical ball doesn't change an awful lot. But for an asymmetrical ball, it changes an awful lot. Right. And I know how to manipulate those core shapes to maximize it in different areas of the lane. So by creating symmetrical balls like this, we can create almost an asymmetrical shaped core, but it's still symmetrical, which is going to allow us, like with the new core, the Axe core. No one knows what the Axe core is because no one has seen it yet. And it's going to be named something different. But for the Axe core, if I use a different drilling angle, we can create an 002 intermediate ball, versus if I have it a different layout, I can create like an 022, 023 intermediate ball.
Yeah, and that was like the definition somewhat of what I talked about last week with super symmetricals, how the range is so huge. You know, from when it starts out undrilled to the lower drilling to the highest potential drilling, you know, and it fills that big gap between symmetricals and asymmetricals.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really exciting. It's really exciting. So anyways, so let's jump. So, okay. I don't know if we have any more questions about that. I see Buckosh in the chat, but
just what we need is him asking questions.
Yeah, I haven't seen really any questions, but I'm trying not to look at the chat. I try not to.
Yeah, don't do that. Yeah.
So if we go to the next slide, we're going to jump way back
to the beginning of the partnership with Brunswick and Radical.
Yeah.
Right.
And this core actually started off in spring of 2011. I have files dated to the beginning of June. This core right here.
There you go.
And this was originally named in my files. It's named the Offset 2011.
Yeah.
And Mo wanted to create and so this is before even your deal with Brunswick. He wanted to create something similar to the 3D offset.
Exactly, and that's why you see it from the side view that it's got a flatter side on it.
Yeah, and so that's why I picked these 2 images for every core I'm going to show you. Yeah. So you see the PSA sticking out to the right, and you'll see a top view. And so you can, in this core, you can just see the beginnings of, and Mo already knew this. Mo knew that if everyone knew this, if you shifted mass towards the PSA side, you're going to get more motion out of the ball.
Right.
They started getting track flare and blah, blah, blah. So this was like towards the beginning of like, I feel like this is the beginning of, for me, trying to figure out better ways to make that happen. 4 versions of this ball were made, and the 4th version became the Reax version 2. Which I don't know why they didn't call it Reax version 4, but I don't have any control. Once it leaves my computer, I'm out. But what's the diffs here? 013, 054? Yeah. Okay. It's amazing. I watched an old video of Mo earlier today and his interview with someone, and he was throwing out numbers from like 30 years ago.
Right.
How do you do that? I don't remember what values the axe score had, and I just finished that ball. Okay. Yeah. So taking this and a little bit of shift of mass, and we go to the next slide. And then we had the Yeti the same year.
That's right.
I actually have a Yeti too. And you're not going to be able to see it very well. But Mo wanted the band to be a little bit thicker on the PSA side. And you can see it. And I mean, I can. I don't know if you all can, but I mean, I see it. But that is a very symmetrical ball. And because of that extra mass on the PSA side of that band allowed us to cut that finger scoop in. So this is before, like, this was like thinking about the patent, trying to get the patent for the finger scoop and using the finger scoop technology. But
right,
we knew we wanted the band as close to the shell as possible. And there's still some room there. I could have got it out there further, but not really, because so remember when I talked about the symmetrical cores earlier, this Yeti core has almost about as much height as you can give it. Buckosh and Aaron at Brunswick, they won't let me go closer than 0.5 inches to the shell of the ball because we're worried about, I mean, it's valid because we're worried about cracking. And so the height of that core is as tall as I can get it. So I can't get that band out any further because I'm going to cut the diffs. The farther I push that band out, I'll cut the diffs down a little bit. So there's such a give and take between all of the there's so many variables that come into play when you're building a core like this that you have to take all that in consideration. But this is the first core that used the finger scoop, the first symmetrical core. And then on the next slide, we'll see. Oh no, the next slide. I figured I would throw this in there just for people to. I have in my files. I have it going back to 2013. That core, which I'm not for. I can't. That might be the core we put into one of the balls. I can't remember.
That wasn't the Cyclops?
It might have been.
Yeah, I think it is.
Or the Rave core I have written down.
Yeah,
there.
or the Rave. Yeah, it was
Maybe
one or the other. I don't remember them. Right.
Yeah, I don't either. That was.
And you ended up with the Grease Monkey you have on there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Kind of fed into the Grease Monkey a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, we had our own core that we developed for the patent when we were trying to fill out that patent information, and we did a lot of studies on. With the finger scoop, without the finger scoop, and trying to prove the effects of that technology. But yeah. So on the next slide, we'll go right into the Reax version 2, which like I told you, was the fourth offset version that I made. But you'll notice that from the top view, you can see where I cut the 45s off. So basically on this ball, the left, I'm looking at the top view, okay? On the left half, that is an ellipse. And on the right half, it was also an ellipse, but it had a different minor axis length. So it would stick out further. And then I just chopped it off. And the more I chopped it off, the more I could get that nose out there. I call it a nose, but it's really not a nose. I don't see
Yeah.
it as a nose. I just see it as, the PSA side of that band. That band's not very thick too, by the way. Like, we at that time, like we were doing double thumbs and trying to maximize the dips.
Absolutely.
I can look at that and tell you that ball is that the end of that band on the PSA side is probably 0.8 inches, maybe an inch, somewhere like that. And that normally wasn't good enough for Mo. He was always like, no, we need a 0.5. We need a 0.5. And I'm like, man, I put that out there and it's cutting my diffs. And I'm going right back to the statement. I can't make that core any taller.
That's
so
right.
It's like, dude, this is the best I can get you. This is it. But
Mo wanted the intermediate diff to be 060.
He just wanted the core to actually stick out of the ball.
Well, we've had that happen with a few that he turned in. They didn't fit in the ball.
Yeah. But that's an 016 048 ball. So even though it's fairly tall, I look at that and I can tell I can get some more height out of it to increase my diffs. But
yeah,
when we start talking about like the 015 045 range, for me, that just gives me leeway on where I can put things, where I can put mass here, put mass there.
This ball did very well. If you notice that the ratio was 3-1.
Yeah.
I know you knew that because you did it, but I'm saying it was, I don't think we put enough credence in that in the beginning, because we were still fiddling around with larger intermediate diffs at the time.
Yeah, you did it. You just didn't know what you had.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The guru.
Yep.
I named this core Pinocchio. This was always called Pinocchio for a long time.
Exactly.
I kind of feel like we worked on this core for a while.
Yeah.
Because we were having such success with the Yeti that I don't, there was a little bit of like, there was a window there. It was like we had cores lined up so far in advance that.
Right.
So I feel like we worked on this one a good bit.
Yeah. This was a great ball.
Yeah. This is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
This like has a defined nose. The finger scoop was even bigger. Like we made it even bigger.
Right.
Just because the more mass I can take out of that section, the more mass I could put on the nose. It's a balancing act, and I didn't have to worry about intermediate diff. So you can see from the top view that is very elliptical. And again, there's two different ellipses there. I'm pointing this out because to me it's obvious, but sometimes it's not obvious to everyone else. On that band, those are two different sizes of ellipses again. And so the one on the right on the nose side is just smaller. That way I have less mass on the band so I can put more mass on the nose. And if you look at the thimble, Mo and I always called it the thimble on top.
Right.
It's not really a thimble. That's more like the top cylinder, but you can see where the band is at, how it's a little bit towards the negative PSA side, and it's kind of right in line with that circle on the right. So, just little like those are little tricks just to be able to shift mass. We were just, how can we move mass around?
So with the new advent with the multi-densities that we've been doing lately, if you were to take that nose and replace it with a denser material, what would typically be the outcome?
I choose not to answer that question. No, that's a great question. That's a great question because Mo and I always talked about the dream ball, and you started to hint upon part of what we would talk about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has I have an idea for a dual density core that I believe could be used in a lot of these older cores to make them even better. And that is along those lines. If that nose is denser, then the diffs are going to increase even more.
Okay.
Intermediate and total.
Yeah, because you have room with the 044. You can go up quite a bit before you hit that 060 max. I just don't know what would happen.
But I could. But even if that was more dense, I could change the height of the core so we could keep it at 044.
Oh, there you go. So you can play around with the height. Okay,
I
see what you mean. Sure.
Yeah, I could shorten it, cut the diffs more. But by putting mass out there, you're cutting diffs anyway. So, putting mass out there, I would cut diffs.
So by drilling that denser material out, after drilling, would that blow up the diffs quite a bit more?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. More than it would if it was just a single density, you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And would love to do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it Friday.
No, you can't. You're out of town Friday.
Well, yeah. What I mean, I mean you. But
I see. You want to be the guy that stands there and just.
Yeah, I invented that. Yeah, just like you've done for the last 40 years. I invented 30, that. Here, let me draw 30 30 sketches of a ball layout. Oh, here I invented that layout. Let me play tic-tac-toe with these pins.
And that's how it works.
Yep. All right.
This is the type of core too, where this is the time. Let's see, 2015. That would be 2008. I was still probably staying up till 2, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning sometimes, working on cores. And this core would be like, there was a lot of times I would email him at 3 in the morning or something, and he'd be awake.
Yeah.
But
no
I would have to. This is the one, I always send a picture of the 4 pictures: top view, X view, Y view, Z view, and diametric view. So 5 pictures. And then I would send a picture of the double thumb layout, the 70 by 3.5 by 20 with the double thumb. And this one, he'd be like, no, we're not hitting the thumb enough. We're not hitting the balance hole enough. Make the nose bigger. Make the nose bigger. And then the other thing I'll point out, because some people might be interested, is the indentations on the bottom of the core. Those were put in there just to help with air escaping when they create the second mold for the outer core. It's poured upside down.
Yeah, you gotta have some place for that bubbles to get out.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you don't have voids.
Yeah, because I don't know if you can see it, but there's a big bubble right there on the bottom of the Yeti on mine. I don't know if you can see it. All this area.
Yeah. Oh, I see it. Yeah.
You see it?
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's from the air not being able to get out.
Yeah. So, but when you look at this was so long ago that I don't have enough draft on the bottom. So nowadays we have even more draft.
Yeah.
Buckosh always reviews my files and finds something wrong with them because he's good at that.
Yeah. And people got to realize that stuff cures pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So that's why the bubbles can't always get to the top and get out. So if they get trapped in there, and then next thing you know, the thing's starting to solidify. Yeah, that's what happens. So we have to allow for that.
Yeah.
I say we take a quick break. I'm going to post the Woo Box one last time, and I think we should go into the top 5. What do you say, Phil? This is your
time. Let's do that. We'll do the top 5, and then we'll get back into this.
And this was done by Phil. He actually said, hey, I'm going to do the top 5 this week, so you can't post no garbage about the Dodgers.
That's exactly why I did it, so that you would not have the opportunity to do some ridiculous top 5.
Who's to say I didn't just make my own top 5 and you're just about to look?
You can't put it up there. That's a code of the podcast. You got to have it.
Oh, we got a code of ethics now. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I invented.
This is a gentleman's.
The code of ethics. Put the Woo Box up, and then we'll do the top 5. Then we'll get back to Steve. Here we go. Top 5 reasons the Dodgers won't win the World Series. Number 5.
I just want to preface this with you're going out on a limb and talking trash.
How did that happen that logo is so small?
And
it must have been autocorrect.
Must have been a formatting issue. You're not really good with PowerPoint.
No, you're right.
Anyway, so here we go. So I just want to preface this that you're going to be yapping, and my top 5 when the Dodgers sweep by next podcast is going to be much more cruel. Here we go.
Yeah, I'll be out that week. Top 5. They left Brooklyn. The wise guys kicked them out of Ebbets Field. There's a quick story about that, Ebbets Field. So the Dodgers wanted to stay in Brooklyn. And this guy, who I'll hate for the rest of his life, Robert Moses, he's gone, but I still hate him, was the public works administrator. And on a corner of Atlantic Avenue and Flatbush Avenue was a great piece of land. And O'Malley said, let's build a stadium there. And he, this Robert Moses guy, decided that the best place to build it would be in Flushing Meadow Park, Flushing Meadows, where Shea Stadium was built. And they didn't want to not build the Dodgers Stadium, Brooklyn Dodgers Stadium, outside of Brooklyn. So he was the public works administrator, and he said, no, I'm not going to let you build it there. So they moved to that godforsaken country out west.
Country.
Go ahead. Next, number 4. Just fact. Yankees are 8-3 versus the Dodgers in the World Series. I think the one on the left was that perfect game a long time ago, and the one on the right was more recent. Pummeling of the Dodgers. So they're 8-3.
What? The last one?
Right. The one on the right. Yeah.
There's no chance that. Okay. The last time the Dodgers played the Yankees, what happened in 1981, buddy?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Yankees got swept by Fernando. God rest his soul, who just passed away.
Yeah, that's right. He did. It's too bad the guy passed away because he. Although you know what, he's not going to get to suffer through this one. Anyway. Number 3. Number 3. Some Dodgers lied about working at In-N-Out Burger.
This is such an inside joke that nobody's going to get it. Anyway.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You think so? No. Well, if I put McDonald's in there, would everybody have gotten it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it. Well, anyway. Number 2. The word on the street is Ohtani had his new interpreter place a bet on the Yankees.
That's not factual. Actually, he got a $250,000 bonus for the World Series. You know why? It wasn't in his contract. He just made a bet on it in the beginning of the season.
That's what I'm talking about. See how that works? Now it comes out. And when you got the word on the street, it's from the inside wise guys. Mm-hmm. And here is the number 1 reason that they can't possibly win the World Series. Who does that?
Champions do.
Let me tell you why. Did they sit in the locker room and practice this?
You want to know the difference between Kike Hernandez, Gavin Lux, and the entire Yankees roster?
Sounds like a guy that's grasping for straws, but go ahead.
He has World Series rings. That's it.
Let me ask you a question, seriously. You know, you watch a regular baseball game, and each guy has their own little signal with the other guys on the team. Like, you know, if Judge hits a home run, he does the back and forth slap with this guy, and with the shoulder, the bump. The other guy's low fives. What were they thinking when they came up with this one?
This is a one-time thing.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's very popular now. You know, I mean, I think this is going to be something we're going to see throughout the series if they score any runs. You know, I mean, really, where was that invented? Right, it was like a California thing.
Well, they were in California, yes.
Oh, my God.
Einstein, yes.
How on earth can you sit there and go to the guy next to you in the locker? Listen, let's practice. Well, I think we should put clothes on first. No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Everybody got the woo box? Good.
You're just a bitter man right now because you didn't have a top 5 today.
That's fine. You're going to be a bitter man next week.
All right. Let's see what happens.
Dodgers in 6.
That's your prediction?
Yeah.
That's not bad for you. You know, I think it'll go 6.
Okay.
All right. Let's get back to the
your lineup's going to be easy to your lineup's going to be so easy to dissect. You got 2 hitters in your lineup.
Well, let's see. Rizzo hit 400 in the playoffs.
Oh gosh.
The last set. What's his name? Hit 390. Volpe.
Rizzo's gonna get eaten.
Oh, what about Stanton? I forgot about him. Oh yeah. Wait.
That's your second hitter. You got Stanton. You got
Judge. You think Judge is going to be?
And by the way, Kike Hernandez has a higher OPS and better stats, more home runs, more RBIs than Aaron Judge in the postseason. That's it.
Hernandez. My only answer today is Kike Hernandez.
We talk about facts on the show, and those are the facts.
How many bullpen games are you going to have?
Probably 2. Actually, no, it's going to be 1, I think.
Okay, well, good.
Because Dodgers in 4. I just changed my mind.
You're such a fan.
All right, back to Steve.
All right, back to Steve.
All right. Yeah, Guru. This core morphs into the cash.
That's right.
Yeah, which I think. Okay, yeah, no, that's later because I did this kind of chronologically.
Okay. Do you want me to go find the cash?
I mean, if you want to, yeah, maybe that'd be a good idea. Right here's the cash. I called this core Pinocchio 2. So because I knew it was just an extension of, notice that wider nose. 020, 048 ball.
Yeah, and that was one of our first real big intermediate diff balls. You know, I mean, where you got into the 20s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this ball broke Bowler's Journal hook rating again. What, I have 65?
65. Yeah, it's when we got everybody. No, yeah, the Guru got us into the 60s.
Yeah, that was 60.
And then this one got us into the 65.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the biggest hooking ball we made for a while.
Yeah, at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
You see how I cut the side off on the right underneath of the nose.
I see it.
Yeah, that way I could push the nose out further. And I what I liked about this core, just from a personal note, is I tried to make the nose look like an unnatural extension coming out of that core, but that was just me.
That's just like your artist side coming out.
Yeah. I kind of remember thinking like, you know, not like a Star Trek thing or something, but just something unnatural, like, you know, almost like one core was swallowed by the other core in a way.
Yeah, we're gonna call you the Banksy of core design.
By the way, Nick, you were fact checked. By the way,
on what?
On none of the Yankees having World Series rings.
Well, Juan Soto's got one.
So does Garrett Cole, by the way.
Oh, with who?
I don't know. I'm just telling you. And then the other one was, I hate interrupting like this, but this is such breaking news. They want to know if that cup bump was developed by P. Diddy.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, your lefty that played 2 games this year also has a World Series ring with the Cubs, but that was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. They forget that kind of stuff.
Rizzo, you forget that, don't you? When you blurt out fake news.
Well, I mean, all the Yankees that you actually acquired, you know, through the draft don't have one. Fact check that.
All right, Nick. I'm sorry. All right, Steve, we're back.
So and you can see the bands raised too before we go back to the ridiculous score, which is probably my favorite series. I mean, I like the score. Yeah.
And there it is.
Yeah, this was in the reliable entry. Like this was
absolutely right. Yeah, we didn't know how good this was.
No, and we had no idea where this score was going to take us neither.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is, when we came out with the No Doubt, we've heard a lot of backlash on where the core came from. You know, here's the grandfather of it all. You know, this had all of the characteristics, or a lot of the characteristics of the No Doubt. And again, as Steve mentioned, a lot of the stuff we do, the next core is a evolution of it, a learning process. So,
for the record, I want to put this up. Steve does not hate baseball. He's just a Pirates fan. That's all.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a dog in this fight any year.
When they say there's no crying in baseball, then they don't understand what it means to be a Pirates fan.
There you go.
Well, isn't the Pirates the minor league team for the Yankees rather?
For the Yankees, yeah, we're your farm system.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. But you know, I'm going to get us back on track here real quick because we can talk too much baseball. But you see that the picture on the right, that top core, look how small that is.
That's very small compared to a lot of the cores we've shown so far.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember I can't remember the volume, but it's probably 800, low 800s probably.
Yeah.
Where something like the Cash is probably 1150, 1200.
Yeah, this was small and it rolled so good. I mean, that was loved by the tour guys, the league players. Everybody loved the score.
Yeah.
Very tall and slender.
And I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. But at that time, the Guru was still going. Like the Guru was still.
Yeah.
It was still going rather well. So so this is an 050 ball. So then on the next slide should be the Ridiculous ASIM.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. And so I wanted to show the top picture of this because really all I did for this score was just cut it in half and fill in the middle. So that's probably a 3/4 of an inch, 0.6 to 0.8 inch section that is filled in that created the 012 intermediate diff.
Yeah, it really didn't affect the starting RG differential. It just increased the intermediate.
Yep. That was all we wanted to do with it.
So that's all you did was just make it slightly elliptical and call it a day. So
yep. Two reliable entry balls.
Must not have been a very 3 a.m. night for that one, huh?
No, not at all.
You were done by like 8:30 p.m.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a snack. Let me go design a core and have a snack.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'm gonna make nachos now.
Yeah. Now, I say that like, okay, I'll be honest. There has been some cores, and I don't remember. There's been a couple of cores I've finished in say 4 hours. But then it's the testing starts. Then you have to start, because we had 5 or 6 drillings. We would look at all 5 or 6 drillings, and then I would run my analysis on at least 1, if not 2 of the drillings to see how the shape of this core is, how does it compare to all the others. And that's really the most time consuming. So then after the Ridiculous Sim and ASIM, we go to the next slide. Well, we'll skip that one since we talked it, but then we go to the Sizzle and Ludicrous.
Yeah.
And again, now you can see I got a little, you can still see the similar band.
Right.
There's 3 lines around the middle right below the finger scoop, which is a huge finger scoop, by the way. Like that's a pretty large finger scoop.
That's for all the seniors that have like 3 or 4 finger holes drilled, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So I had named this Ridiculous 2 and Ridiculous 2 ASIM. Is this an obvious extension? And I only have the Ludicrous shown here, the ASIM version. Just take out that middle little section, and you would know what the Sizzle looked like. But yeah, and I got the noses out there a little bit, but nah, not really.
Nah.
I mean,
from the side angle, it looks like it's close at the closest point.
Right.
But when you look at it from top down, it doesn't look anywhere close on the mass bias side.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in my opinion, at this time, like to me, during this time of development, I didn't look at these. I didn't think about these balls like, wow, like these are, to me, this was just like a reliable entry ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
right.
And then now like things are going to start. So on the next slide, to me, is when this, like, now we're really starting to get, like, so we're learning from that. I named this core Utterly Ridiculous because he wanted bigger. Bigger. We got to make it bigger. So now we went to an 020, 050 ball. And I wish the band was bigger. Like, now that I'm looking at it now, years later, I wish that band was bigger. But I mean, I say that, but it's not really true. Year of the Sword. You used to make these all the time. I got some laying out here. I really miss these.
Oh, those were great, weren't they?
Yeah, I love these things. But yeah, that was written on the front of that. That's why I put Year of the Sword.
Yeah.
2018, the whole Katana series. So
right.
you can see the wider nose and what the wider nose. I don't know. Can you go back one slide and then come back?
Sure can.
Well, no, that nose is about the same width, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's about the same. Yeah. It's a little bit closer to the shell.
It gets out wider,
not much, but a little bit
from the side view, sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you know, it's all about, you know, it's still really all about double thumbs.
Yeah, and that's what exactly. A lot of people. Somebody asked a question about why we got away from the finger scoops. You know, and a lot of our stuff has steps on top, so that's like a finger scoop. But also, you know, when the balance holes went away, a lot of things changed.
Yeah, we started using thimbles more. Thimbles were a little bit easier, and I liked them because they're a little bit easier to control total diffs.
Yeah.
Like if I need to, like Phil, you've done this a couple of times. You've asked me like, well, can we get this diff?
Right.
I'm like, well, that's the easiest thing in the world to do. Like,
yeah,
because I can just I can make it a little bit taller, I can make it a little bit wider, and not really affect anything else other than total diff.
Yeah, and the reason I asked Steve that is because a lot of times we're looking the way ball motion is, and what we get feedback from the general public, and as everybody in this chat knows, we really don't cater to the PBA guys, the pros. You know, we're looking to make league bowlers better bowlers. And a lot of times you'll hear things like, well, you know, that ball rolled forward on me a little bit, or that ball didn't pick up in the right spot. So when I have a conversation with Steve, a lot of that's driven by feedback that we're getting. And I may say to him, can we lower that diff a little bit, or can we raise that diff a little bit? And when we have the tools that we have now with the thimble, it makes it a lot easier for us to do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of it's just based on the feedback we're getting from the consumer, the guys that actually buy balls.
Yeah. I've been thinking about using a finger scoop again, but
yeah, it
just hasn't been necessary.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the way we're going right now, it's going very well.
I think you should do it. Don't listen to Phil.
Nick is the new core designer, Steve.
Yeah, if you need anything, Steve, just email me directly. I'll point you in the right direction.
Help me out.
Believe me, Phil. I mean, Phil at this point, he's okay with anything. Really, it's like I'm the marketing guy now, so I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Go ahead, move on.
All right, I think this is the last slide. Actually,
it is,
and this one is, you know, in true Mo fashion, was let's make it bigger.
Yep.
I think that's really why I like this whole series. Probably my favorite, just because it was always let's go bigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Typical Mo. Because look at that nose. That nose is ridiculous.
Right.
And it was about as close as I could get it. I think it's about 0.6. You know, 0.5 is the limit. I can only get the inside edge of the shell is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I can only be 0.5 or greater. And he wanted 0.5. And
it looks like it looks like you had to shorten the top and bottom to elongate that nose to the max.
Yeah. Yeah.
We actually had to make this ball bigger so that the core fit in it.
We had to build them all at the maximum USB-C tolerance just so we can.
Yeah, and couldn't shave them down.
Yeah.
Look at what the intermediate diff was on that ball. I mean, the total diff on that ball with the double thumb.
Yeah. We had to cut it. I think originally this ball was designed closer to 055.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we hit that, and we were like, we can't do this. So
yeah,
It might have been 056 at that time. And then so we cut it down. Then we made 2 versions. So we made the 2744 ball and the 3050 ball. But
right. Yeah, I asked Mo when he gave me these numbers if they were going to make the lane wider.
Yeah. And I think this one again break the
the hook number. Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think after 5 times in a row or so of doing that with Bowler's Journal, we just kind of stopped paying attention. We're like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. When we first broke the 60s, I welcomed all the other brands into the 60s.
Welcome to the party.
Welcome to the party. We're in the 60s. Yeah. So
yeah, this was a very powerful ball.
Yep.
It has a large finger scoop just to help me get the nose out further. Plus the band is even bigger. So that just allows more possibility of the thumb hitting that core.
And this core, I think we have the max bias is sort of a derivative of this, right? If I recall.
Max bias.
Yeah, I believe it is. I think it is. I can look it up real quick.
Yeah, I need to look it up.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. I forget.
While you're looking that up,
I shouldn't though, because that's like a recent.
Yeah, I got it.
While you're looking that up, look up Garrett Cole World Series range.
Oh, absolutely.
0.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, this is the max bias. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the max bias.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So, a lot of times we made some density changes on that to produce the max bias. I think we toned it down a little bit, but yeah, that shape is basically the max bias.
Yeah. I like the curves on the 45 personally.
Yeah.
From looking at the top, I like those curves. Can't see that on. You can't tell. That's why I wanted to show you a top picture, and I figured you wouldn't care if I did.
No,
because when you look at the screenshot I took on the left, you can't always tell.
Right.
The shape of a core, really,
No, that's exactly right. But that's a max bias core.
Yeah.
I think we modified the densities a little bit to bring down the total diff.
Yep, exactly. That's how we made the 2 different versions.
Correct. Right.
Yeah. And I had to do a lot of studying on that just to make sure that, well, not to make sure, to verify that the way that the mass moves in the ball as it's rolling down the lane stays the same.
Yep. And like Steve said earlier, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We make the ball, and then we drill them up. Well, he models the drillings and gives us some of the numbers. Then we got to put them on the lanes, and then we got to find a cover stock because Mo always wanted the most hook and the most and most and most, and sometimes we had to reel that back in. Maybe we couldn't put the hooking as cover stock on any of the balls because the ball was too much, or for the average guy, it might roll forward. And now you got a ball that hooked 57 boards, but hit like a marshmallow. We didn't want that.
Flare 9 inches.
Yeah, exactly. So.
But that takes us right back to the 015, 045 layout. Or
there you go. Right, exactly. You can talk about that a little bit. Yes.
We're still hitting 060.
Right.
But we're not creating 9 inches of track flare.
Please go into that a little bit more, if you would, about the ratios. And that's a part that I didn't really understand either. Is that even though it says 060, it may not flare 9 inches.
Right, based upon the intermediate diff.
Yeah, exactly.
I got sidetracked for a minute.
Yeah,
someone asked a question.
You were looking at the messages.
Because someone asked a good question about I wish I'd have put the drilled numbers for all balls on there, but for the maximum results, an 030, 050 ball drilled 70 by 3.5 by 20, it turns out to be an 044, 062 ball.
Yeah, that's monstrous.
Yeah.
Right.
Eric had a good question. He said on his No Doubt has a PSA before drilling. Is this likely one of the core peaks?
The No Doubt has a PSA before drilling.
He's spinning it on the determinator.
Okay. I didn't know what he was doing. Yeah.
Eric, I'm just gonna go ahead and answer. It was funny because during the last podcast you were talking about how the CG finally matters for the Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that is only true because, just to clarify, so no one thinks that CG really is important to the ball motion.
Not on this show, they're not.
on the Bigfoot, the nose, the center, the CG should be in line from the pin to the PSA marker, and that PSA marker should be right on the middle of the nose.
Right.
The CG should be there.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that during manufacturing something a little screwy might happen so that the CG, and everyone knows this, that's kicked off an inch. And Phil and I have talked about with some of the things that we're getting ready to release, especially with super symmetricals, is if you want to drill through that nose, then that'll increase your total diffs. If you rotate that ball 45 degrees and miss that nose, you're making it way symmetrical. You're not nearly as asymmetrical. I said that wrong. My apologies. We don't make the ball symmetrical. We're making all balls asymmetrical. You're just going to increase the asymmetry less than if you drill through the nose.
Right.
So,
yeah. And with the no doubt, it's got a little peak in the front, a point. And that may be what he's talking about, why PSA is spinning there. And if you drill into that peak, it's going to create a little more motion.
Yeah. And that peak should not be in line with the PSA 6 3/4 from the pin. The peak will not be.
Yeah.
Not for that ball. And even on that slideshow when we had even the max results, the nose of that ball is not at 6 3/4 from and Guru is another good one. The Guru is a great example because the nose on the Guru is not 6 3/4 from the pin. It's placed where the 70 by 3.5 by 20 layout, where the thumb would hit it.
Yeah, I think another misconception is like the PSA is always 6 3/4 when it can vary slightly. It's always around the same range, but it's not always at 6 3/4 from the pin.
Right.
When they actually spin them and mark them, because it varies a little. I mean, I see it from ball to ball, and I think it matters with how the mass is located, and also the strength of the intermediate sometimes.
Are you talking about like before drilling them?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Can you pull the podcast the slideshow back?
Sure. I'm a master of my craft. Of course I can.
Master of design.
Brian Buckosh and I were just talking about this. This is the perfect example right here.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got my I'm going to say this jokingly, but Buckosh like smacked my hand a little bit for some of my design work, because on that core right there, the PSA is not going to, the ball will not spin up on the determinator right at the equator. It will actually be below it about 5 degrees. And the reason as to why is because that nose is so large that it actually pulls the PSA down a little bit. Man, I feel like I shouldn't be talking about this, but I've already started.
Well, I remember we had a couple of balls where the pin to the PSA was more than 6 3/4.
Okay, so the reason is why is because that nose is so large, and some other designs do this as well, not just mine.
Yeah,
but the PSA gets moved down. And so my recommendation for people, if you really want, like, because some people are probably using the pin, the pin locator, and that necessarily isn't the actual true low RG of the ball. Now, I'm saying that very hesitantly because I don't want people out in the world like, I'm just educating a little bit. The PSA sometimes does get shifted down. I would measure 6 3/4 from that up towards the pin. And it's going to be short, however much the pin or the PSA moved down.
Yeah. And that would be the official top of the core.
Yes.
Right.
Well, no.
Yeah, I know that's just the true that's just a true low
true
RG.
Low RG. I'm sorry, you're right.
True low
RG.
Yeah.
Right.
At the end of the day, I know why you're hesitant in bringing it up, but at the same time, you're talking maybe a 1/4 inch, maybe a 1/2 inch at most, and that's really not going to change a whole lot of your reaction. If you have something between a 25-degree, VAL angle on your drilling, and now it's, 30-degree, it's not really, for most people, you're not going to notice that.
It's minimal.
Yeah,
you wouldn't notice it at all.
No, just drill off the pin, drill off the PSA, just call it a day.
Yeah.
So
and when you put this ball on a determinator, you're adding energy to the system, which is why the ball will spin around the high RG axis. You're adding energy to it. You're forcing it to spin faster and faster.
Right.
So that's why it goes towards the PSA, unlike when it's actually on the lane and it follows the RG contour.
Got it. All right. There was another question from Jim. Is pretty good. Having such sharp angles between shape transitions in a core, does this add more difficulty in core production during manufacturing? Would smoother transitions take away from the diff numbers you're shooting for? So I'm assuming that means like on the Yeti core, where it has that very sharp edge with the belly of the core is what I think he's meaning there.
We did a study. We did a study where, I looked at it earlier yesterday because I thought about even putting it in this presentation, but I knew I'd talk too long anyways about this. And we actually did 3 different cores. One was rounded, one had faces, and the other one had another general shape. And we created 3 cores with the same numbers and then drilled them all and compared. So really for manufacturing, you can't have sharp edges because the guy's taking them out of the molds. You don't want to cut their hands, essentially. Yeah. But yeah, sometimes, rounded edges and faces, they have different mass distribution, and that plays an effect into what is capable of that ball on the lane. I'm not for sure if that's the exact question that he had, but
that's all right. I think that was good enough. Dan says, seems like you're using 2-piece molds split in half. Have you looked into using more complex molds, 3-piece, to help with dynamic shapes?
Yeah, we've actually been doing that lately. It's a half. It's part horizontal, and then the other half is vertical, seamed.
Yeah, which the different kind of core shapes you can make, whether the part is vertical or horizontal, makes all world of difference with what kind of shapes you want to make there.
Yeah, and it's actually and I'm gonna be honest and tell you that it took I don't know, Buckeye should agree, it probably took me 2 or 3 cores to start to really see the nuances of what's really possible, and it really does open up different possibilities of shapes.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm going through questions.
I'm looking too. I'm not good at this though.
We know.
I admit it.
Here you go. Are all these cores the same core material density-wise? I'm guessing is what he's asking.
No.
Not density.
No.
We repeat a lot of densities. Well, the inner core and the outer core, the density of the outer core just is whatever is required to make the 0.22 pound ball, or 16.08 or whatever.
Right.
For values we're using.
Yeah.
Why did we go away from finger scoop? Seems like it was popular till it wasn't.
We started using a lot more thimbles because the thimbles really had the same result.
Yeah, as long as you didn't drill into it, if you didn't want to. You had a spot to drill below the pin was where the scoop would have been. In other words, pin up balls. And the thimble accomplished the same thing, except that Steve mentioned earlier, he could make that thimble wider and have different shapes to it, make it control the densities better.
Yeah. Blacktip just asked a good question about, do you ever consider 3D printing a core? The cores are actually 3D printed before the mold system, which is another reason why there are certain, 3D printers have limitations. So rough edges and the way certain features come together, like the nose coming to there are certain things you just got to make sure of so that the 3D printer can actually print it, and then the molds are created from that.
Glenn says, all this talk about bigger and bigger high diff bowling balls. Any plans for smaller? Yeah, something like counterattack, sneak attack, or retired. Oil is scarce on Long Island, he says.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much bigger the No Doubt core is compared to the other ones. As you start getting smaller cores, your RGs are different. If you go back to the days of the Beast, which is probably one of the smallest cores that we've ever used, the light bulb, you're looking at an 015 or 017 diff. So, if we're going to build it's the opposite of where we're going, Glenn, because it's the super symmetricals offer a wider range. So if you looked at the No Doubt, and I think I might have that drill sheet here. I think. No, I don't have it here. If you look at the
I think it goes from 030 to 059. I think those are the numbers.
I got it here. Right. Yeah. So, but the intermediate diff goes to 0.010 down to 049. But the high end of it, the max flip one, you can get the intermediate to 014 and 059.
Got it.
So you have to start looking at the drill sheet, especially when you start getting into the super symmetricals, because you're going to find the range is greater. And then maybe a short pin drilling or a pin down drilling on a symmetrical ball, on an asymmetrical ball, would bring those numbers down. The reason we try to make that super symmetrical and not build that small beast looking core anymore is because we don't have the balance holes anymore. A beast with a balance hole was a decent ball. I mean, you could make that do same thing with the Intel. Once the balance holes went away, we really can't get a big enough performance differential in there from one end to the other.
Steve, this one's for you. Why does the axis migration of a bowling ball stay on the same RG plane as the PAP instead of migrating to the high RG axis like it does on the Determinator? Is this a consideration for core design?
Yeah, that's all about adding that. That's the adding energy on the Determinator. That's why it goes to the high RG axis. And if you had an infinitely long lane, the PAP would migrate to the low RG axis.
Yeah, we get there eventually.
Yeah, it would take a long time, but it would take. Yeah. So the lane's only 60 foot, so you're not going to the RG of the PAP actually decreases slightly as it goes 60 feet. When I do my studies, I treat it as if it just stays the same, because you're talking a minuscule difference in distance.
Grumpa wants to know, what's the craziest thing you've seen from a core that you never expected?
It might have been that video from Phil yesterday. I mean, I'm not just saying that. I'm not trying to.
You got to understand that. Yeah, but just to help Steve with that a little bit, he designs a ball with an expectation. So when I show him a video that way exceeds his expectation, this is what you get. It's like, where'd that come from? Yeah.
I mean, the guy had lower ball speed. Okay. Yeah. He's a two-handed. Was he a two-handed baller?
No, he's one-handed.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had a little bit slower ball speed, but man, the ball. Mo would call me and he'd say that ball turns left. It goes sideways.
I'm telling you, I watched the ball test. I saw two shots and I was done. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's already been covered, but how much does fingerhole depth affect after drilling numbers?
anytime you put a ball past three, wait a minute, let me think. 6 and 3. Anytime you go past 3 1/4, 3.5, it really doesn't affect it too much. Mo used to always tell me drill the thumb deeper to get more diff out of it. And I'm like, no, it don't work that way. Once you go certain depth, the increase in diffs goes down. The increase in diffs don't continue to increase. So like if you, it's not a linear situation at all.
Forever.
Right.
So
Yeah, we used to talk about that all the time, drilling deeper thumb holes, deeper finger holes.
Yeah.
After you get past that, and you said the number, but I mean, when you drill them 2 1/4 or 2.5 inch finger holes, past that, you're not going to see much change.
No, not much. Maybe
small.
0.02, 00.
Yeah. It's almost not measurable.
Not much.
Right.
How much strength do two-handers save with no thumb, or do they lose core strength by not drilling the thumb? That was a good question.
I mean, I guess that's where you put. Where do you put the fingers?
Right.
That's what I've been starting to look at right now.
Yeah. That's it just depends on where you hit the core.
Yeah.
If you put the 2 fingers in the belly of the core, you're going to get as much as you would drilling a thumb there.
Right.
The impact. So,
Brian,
and now that we don't have much of a rule on static weights, you can put them anywhere.
Right. Brian, I know Brian, he's somewhere in the chat, I believe. He can verify, but he has showed for two-handed for no thumb bowlers, as you put the fingers, the center of grip is the middle of the finger. So as you go from the pin towards the PSA or the equator of the ball, you increase the total diff linearly. And I have tested that on 3 different balls. At one time around 2018, Mo had me create 6 versions of basically the same ball. I took basically a light bulb core with an 000 intermediate diff. I created an 006, an 012, an 018, an 024, an 030, and 036 intermediate diffs, and all the total diffs was 054. So what I have been doing with my no thumb ideas is testing them on the 000, the 036, and the 018 intermediate diff balls, and comparing. Basically, it's a light bulb, and then to get 036, I just stretched the light bulb basically. And so I'm kind of trying to compare how those changes, how all the change, how much does it change? That's what I'm trying to say, goofily. So, for example, here I have the numbers. I finally found them. For the 036, 050 ball, it was an 050 diff ball. 1 inch, the intermediate. I'm just going to read the diffs, both diffs together. It was an 036, 050 ball. 1 inch center of grip, 1 inch from the pin. It was an 037, 041. 2 inch, it was an 040, 045. 3 inch, 041, 049. 4 inch pin to center grip, 042, 053. 5 inch, 044, 057. And for the 6 inch, that ball is an 045, 058 diff ball. And I'm hopefully going to have a lot of this put together in a different presentation. But
Steve's working on a more readable, easier to use, and more concise two-handed drilling.
It's very linear. That's what I was wanting to make a point of. So how far away from the fingers how far away you put your fingers from the pin for a no thumb bowler affects the diffs linearly. And then, it's, there's other considerations. Where are you hitting the core?
Yep.
What's your drilling angle? What's your pin to PAP? Well, out there. Yes, the answer to that question is yes. Could be. We could do anything.
There you go.
That question you had up, Nick, I have the answer.
Okay.
That last question you had up.
Great.
Do you have the question? Nick.
question that he just answered?
No, he didn't answer that.
He just said yes, we could do anything.
He was talking about, okay, the guy who asked if you can take an 015, 045 ball and create a 030, 010. And the answer is yes.
Undrilled is what he meant.
Undrilled.
Could you design a new core that was still that 3-to-1 ratio, but 30 total?
Okay, I got you.
And he said yes.
Yes.
But I know what you're going with that by making an after drilling number.
Yes.
030, 010.
Yes. You can
That's
do that
not what
with
he
a
was
zigzag.
That's not what he was asking.
Right. Well, if he was asking that, the answer was drill it 90 by 2 1/4 by 45.
Perfect. On whichever ball that happened to be. Talking about zigzag?
Yeah, like a zigzag.
Like exactly the zigzag?
Like exactly the zigzag.
Okay. Take a couple more questions and then we got to wrap up. But
yeah.
On different cores, are the percentages of undrilled to drilled numbers for the same for each individual? In fact, or an example, if you raise the intermediate by 10% and the total differential by 20%, is that the same ball to ball?
No.
There you go.
That's
different core shapes.
Different core shapes.
Core
Different
shapes matter. Core shapes matter. I don't care what anyone else says, and you'll never convince me otherwise because it's not true.
Core shapes do matter.
Core shapes absolutely matter.
CG no matter. Core shape matter.
I'm not going to be long-winded about that answer.
That's an easy answer, right? No.
Or core shapes matter.
Right. Core shapes matter, right?
All right. Let's switch spots with Steve here because
we got to let Nick go because he's got to go kill a chicken and drink some rum and light some incense before the World Series starts.
Still got a few days, but I do have to pack
and kill a chicken. And then get the live chicken. How about a bucket of chicken? Is that the same thing?
Hey, can't have guys in the clubhouse getting sick. Who wants to win something today?
I think we have a lot of people. How many people have entered the drawing?
The drawing?
I'm going to stab you with a lead pencil when I'm
Did you say drawing?
They don't make lead pencils anymore. We're going to have, the drawing. The 2 Utes.
345 people have entered.
That's very nice. Good for them.
There's only one winner. There can only be only one.
There's only one winner selected. 345 to 1 odds that you will get selected.
That's the best odds in bowling as far as I'm concerned. Do you have your timer out, Phil?
I do. It's right here. I am now clearing it from the last time. Okay, it's ready to go. Who's the winner?
The winner this week, everybody, is Jacob.
No, not Jacob.
Harrison. You know this person?
No.
Oh, not him.
Not Jacob.
If you're here, check in with us. You're the winner this week of the wheel spin.
Seconds to pick.
Jacob.
I think you're giving away a bowling ball
Harrison.
this week.
I hope so. I hope 3.
I hope it's a grip sack.
Jake Harrison is here. Look at
He's
that.
here. Jake, 17 seconds.
Wow.
He must have had his hand on the button.
He must have been expecting to win.
Yeah, I wonder why, Nick.
I don't know.
I wonder why.
Man.
Nick emailed him ahead of time and said, Jacob, you're the winner.
Wink,
buddy.
wink.
Wink, wink. Wink, wink.
Oh man! All right.
Give it a spin for Jake.
You know how this works, Jake. We're gonna spin it, and if you don't like the gift, you're gonna have to tell us that you don't want what we're offering you. You're gonna say, what? I'm gonna look a gift horse in the mouth and say, yuck.
And maybe if you win, when Nick's in LA, he'll buy you a poster of the cup bump.
I hope they make. I'm gonna find that poster. I'm gonna make.
I
hope it comes out on art.
Why don't you make a T-shirt out of it?
No, I want to get a canvas print of that and put it up over my mantle. Anyway,
Mickey,
here we go. Best of luck to you. Here's
all right, Jacob. Here we go.
Right here. Come on, 3-ball arsenal. Make it hurt for Phil. Here it comes.
Oh my God.
Backpack. I tried so hard to get you a 3-ball arsenal, buddy. Do you want the backpack or
would you like to move it over 1 tick?
What do you want? Yeah, you want me to just slide it right over?
No.
What's it going to be, Jake? Do you want to keep the backpack? Do you need a radical backpack or?
They're really nice, by the way.
They are real nice. You put all your gear in it. You put your shoes. You put your laptop in it. You put all sorts of accessories in it.
Put a sandwich in there. You put
See what he says. Maybe he wants a backpack. Maybe he's been looking for a backpack and
Yeah, I've been thinking about getting a backpack. What's he saying?
Respin for the grip sack.
Oh, yes, Jacob.
He knows what's coming. Everybody, grip sack, grip sack, grip sack.
Grip sack, grip sack.
Let's see if he's like the great Bambino and he's going to call his shot with a grip sack. I hope
if he gets a grip sack, he doesn't get the spin again because it was the second spin. This is it.
Here comes the grip sack. Everybody's calling it.
Going for the sack. Let's go, Grippy.
Super hard spin. Oh man, I'm gonna kill the bearings on this thing.
You almost threw your shoulder out.
$3 or grip sack. Here it comes. Oh, it's on the grip sack. It's like clockwork with this thing. If you throw back the first gift, you are getting a grip sack. Let me tell you.
That's it.
I don't think there's ever been a time where someone threw back something, whatever it was, and then got the 3-ball arsenal. I don't think that's
it never happened that way. Well, Jacob, you go down on the list. You're probably third or fourth on the list now.
It's not the worst.
It's not the worst ever.
But
some people have traded in the $200 shoes, the $200 bowling bag for the grip sack. But you gave away the mostly desired, ever popular backpack for the grip sack. And maybe a picture of the cup bump if Nick...
I think it's wonderful. You'll go down in the annals of the Perception versus Reality podcast lore. Right. You'll be mentioned along with the shoe person, the bag person, and then now the backpack person.
All right, Jake. Sorry about that.
The funny part was he knew he was getting a grip sack.
He said it.
He said it.
I'm going to spin for grip sack.
And it landed on grip sack. It's great.
Man.
The wheel knows. The wheel knows.
The wheel knows.
All
right, guys. Have a good week. Enjoy the game Friday.
I will.
Nick's going to be there. Where you're going to sit, we'll look for you.
I have no idea. Wherever I can afford. It just depends how much that GoFundMe happens with all those tax.
Wear a Perception versus Reality T-shirt so we could see you.
Yeah. Well, then can I expense it?
The T-shirt, yeah.
Here, just give me your credit card number. I'll buy the tickets.
T-shirt. Yeah, the T-shirt. Enjoy the game, Nick. Have fun traveling. Be safe. Steve, thank you for everything again, as usual. And everybody else, root for the Yankees because they are America's team.
Sure, they are. And
they don't do a cup bump.
Yeah,
Thank God.
I hope to see a few more cup bumps this series.
I am telling you, they cannot talk. They can't show that on TV.
They did.
That's why they have 5-second delays.
No, when he did his post-game interview.
I know they did. That slipped right out. And they left it in.
They left it in. I was like, whoa. I can't believe they left that in. But hey,
well,
I guess it's cable. It's whatever. Fox Sports.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be on cable now, Friday.
It's going to be on Fox now.
Yeah, exactly. I hope we don't have Bob Costas or anybody like that doing the game.
No, it should be our guy, the Fox reporting team. Smoltz.
Yeah. That's not bad. They know
Joe Davis.
Baseball. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we'll have a Dodger announcer announcing the Dodgers. It's perfect.
That's right. No, we don't want that.
It's going to happen. All right.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you.
Take care.
Take care.